There are brand new developments tonight on a story that we told you about first last night. For the second time in less than 2 years, a black man was found dead at the home of Ed Buck, a prominent Democratic donor who has reportedly given more than $116,000 to candidates and causes. Some of those recipients are now distancing themselves from Buck and redirecting their donations to charities, including Christian Cinema among that list. But tonight, he is still a free man. Some are wondering what role race could possibly be playing in this case.
If this was a black man and there were two white bodies found in his apartment, there is no way that he would not be in the jail right now, lawyering up.
Here now, former Arkansas Governor Mike Huckabee, a Fox News contributor, as you know well. Governor, good to see you tonight. What's your reaction to this whole situation?
I cannot disagree with the protester that you just had on, because I think he's right. If these had been two white guys in a black guy's apartment and both of them had died from drug overdoses, and the person who owned the apartment was physically there when they died, and it happened twice in 2 years, yeah, I think he'd be in jail as a suspect. He's innocent until proven guilty. But by golly, there's some crazy stuff going on in that guy's house, and there's no way that he can just completely distance himself from that.
Yeah, and one of the reasons that a lot of people who are looking at this think that it needs to be investigated a bit more are the journal entries that were found in Jamel Moore, who is one of these individuals who died at his house. Here's what he said: "I've become addicted to drugs, and the worst one at that. Ed Buck is the one to thank. He gave me my first injection of crystal meth. It was very painful, but after all the troubles, I became addicted." I mean, I would imagine at the very least they need to ask Mr. Buck some questions, Governor.
Well, you would really think so. I mean, if a prosecutor read that journal entry and didn't want to bring him in for some serious questioning and perhaps try to figure out how does a person turn a young 20-something-year-old into a drug addict and not have some responsibility when the person dies of an overdose. I mean, I just don't understand that. We asked early on, was this about race? I think that's part of it. But I think part of it is this guy is so connected. And let's be clear. I don't blame any of the Democrat politicians for what Ed Buck did. And I think, the tendency that maybe a guy on my side of the aisle might have is to say, oh, look at these Democrats. They took money from this sleaze bag. But look, people take money from sleaze bags all the time. They don't always know they're sleaze bags. There's sleaze bags in both parties.
Yep.
But donors, here's the thing, donors give money to cover themselves and to appear to be something that they're not. And big amounts of money can make them seem to be respectable. They can get their picture made with celebrities in the political world. And it gives them cover. And I think that's what Ed Buck was doing all this time.
All right, switching gears in a big way here, I just want to talk a little bit about the Supreme Court. There's been a lot of concern, obviously, about Justice Ginsburg, who has now missed 3 days, I believe, of the arguments so far. And it just raises the question about, procedure. And it's interesting to note that the Chief Justice William Rehnquist, he missed a significant amount of time on the bench. He missed 5 months while he was undergoing treatment. So there is a precedent for this, for not physically being present as part of this process.
Well, absolutely. People get sick. It's part of the way of life. She's 85 years old. She had a fall. She's had surgery. She was diagnosed with cancer. She's had treatment for that. So the fact that she takes time off, I don't think anybody ought to get all excited about that. People a third of her age would be taking off, given all the health issues she has. I think the one thing that I would point out is that this is not a time for people to start speculating, should she retire? Does she have to retire? She shouldn't retire until she decides she wants to retire. And I'm going to be the first, and I don't agree with hardly anything she ever opines, but I do respect that she was legally appointed and then confirmed almost unanimously by the Senate back in the 90s when there was a sense of respecting president's appointments. And I think Republicans would do well to say, let's hope she gets well. Let's hope she goes out under her own terms and when she's ready to do it, not when someone else is. And let's hope that regardless of who the president picks, they would treat that next appointee with the same respect that Republicans treated Ruth Bader Ginsburg back in the 1990s.
Very true. Very well put. And there's a reason reason why it's the only branch that has a lifetime appointment, so that it can be free from political persuasion and interaction. So, as you say, we wish her well, Ruth Bader Ginsburg, as we watch that story unfold. Thank you, sir. Always good to see you, Governor. Thanks for being here tonight.
Thanks, Martha. You bet.